morning, and that's her board. She brought it in her car. I'm like so happy. I said she's got all these color-coded Post-it notes, which just it's just so organized and brilliant. I love it. Anyway, so let's turn this on to make sure we got good tech here. But Jen is also an amazing zine maker that aren't comics, just words and pictures. You're also a mentor to kids who do zines and stuff, and a musician, and all these other amazing things. And just as an artist, you're such an inspiration to me. Yay, I'm so happy you're here. So anyway, does this look right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, also,
So do you wanna...
actually, this whole thing was a preamble to say that Jen has books for sale at the end of this. And you should buy.
So, not that one, but...
No, not this one, sorry.
Or others.
But some of the others. I
Not
think
that one.
Where are they all? Oh, they're inside here. I remember
Here.
because I was worried about the wind.
At
They're
5
called.
through
She
10.
calls them total trash. I'm not sure.
It's from a Sonic Youth song.
Oh, okay. She has this just amazing way with panels, and the characters are all just hilarious to look at, and they're really funny. They make me laugh. There's a lot. It seems like anyway. You know what? I'm gonna shut up. Is it alright to shut up?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to do this first and then...
Yeah, I think going, and then I think if you go to full screen, it should be fine, and that's what you get. And
Okay.
you
And
want to read,
then what was...
and then down and
Am I
up
doing
should
this?
do it.
Okay.
Does that do it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I have not read the story at all since
2 years ago, 2
2
and a half
years ago when I read it to a group of people. So
And it went over very well.
forgive me if I'm a little whatever. Anyway, this is a story called The First to Sleep. It's set in 1988. I'm 10, at 5th grade with my little girlfriends in the neighborhood. We're having a slumber party. So, The First to Sleep. Maybe the most important thing me and my friends do together is have slumber parties. Usually, if it is all of us together, we have them at Meredith's house because her mom and stepdad never care if we are awake all night. And also, she has a fold-out couch in her TV room. And she has a pool. Usually they're so much fun, but then things got a little weird at our last one. I was the first one to show up, and Meredith's mom was in the kitchen making Jell-O jigglers in the shape of different letters. She dropped one of them on the kitchen floor and then picked it up and put it on the plate with the rest of them because she didn't think I'd noticed. Oops. Ooh, Jell-O. I tried to remember what letter it was, but then I forgot, and for all I know, I probably ate it, but I guess that's okay. Oh well. When the other girls showed up, we went swimming in the pool together. Come on, you guys, last one in's a rotten egg. Hey, no fair, me and Penny still gotta change into our bathing suits. Should have put your suit on under your clothes like me, you chumps. Welcome to our ool. Notice there is no pee in it. Let's keep it this way. There's a funny sign on the patio about not peeing in the pool, but the joke's on them because I have totally peed in the pool before, like 100 times. I'm pretty good at treading water, or water hovering as I like to call it. Hanging out in the pool is great, except sometimes I don't know what to do once I'm in there. But my friends like to do crazy stuff like having tea parties. That's when you hold your breath and you sink to the bottom and then you try to have as long of a tea party as you can, which is terrifying. I hate playing tea party because it freaks me out, so I end up feeling left out. That's me up there water hovering. But the feeling never lasts for very long. Anyway, we were in the pool for a while when Penny said she thought she heard something weird. You guys must have heard it that time. What is it? It's coming from over there. I think somebody's in the bushes. What the heck, man? Ah, geez, it's stupid Stevie and Donald from down the street. And I think that's Toby Jordan. They're spying on us. Gross. Where? I don't see them. Oh, they're not even cute. That's my boy crazy friend. Get out of here, you perverts. Penny, don't say that. They're in our class. So embarrassing. Penny, let's go beat them up. Ah, I think they're coming over here. Run! You guys, I still think we ought to kick their butts in. Soon, We were all dry and not even thinking about Stevie or Donald or Toby Jordan anymore. You guys, I need your help practicing something. Do we have to? Yes, you have to, and you'll love it. Meredith is in a jazz dance class, and she dances all the time. She always says how she's going to be a tigerette once we finally get to high school. That was the dance squad, not quite the cheerleader, but almost. Right now she's learning a routine to Open Your Heart by Madonna, and she showed it to us, and then she made us learn it, and we danced to it 12 times. I'm not that good at dancing, but it's pretty fun when me and my friends do it together. Oh, concentrating so hard. Did not come naturally to me. After we finished dancing, we had about 1 million pizza rolls for dinner, and we watched our first movie of the night, Adventures in Babysitting. But Meredith's little brother Dougal wouldn't quit bugging us. Ooh, I want a pizza roll. No. Oh, get out of here, nerd. Get off. No fair.
Is Dougal wearing clothes?
Dude, well, here's the thing about my comics. If I don't feel like drawing clothes on you or hair, I just don't. And you just have to assume. When the rabbits are naked, they have genitals. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Why not? Stay out. No fair. So after the movie, we went into Meredith's room to hang out. You guys, let's play Truth or Dare. Meredith loves playing Truth or Dare, so we did that for a while. I hate Truth or Dare. Gulp. Truth? Do you like Jason Miller? Oh, crap. Yes. She's so pleased with herself. Dead. I knew it! That's my father texting me. No, really, Hilly told me. I knew it. I just wanted you to say it out loud. Ooh, Jason. Jason, I love you. Oh, I guess that means it's my turn. Penny. Dare. Hey, that's no fair. Jenny picks the worst dares. They're so lame. What? No, it's true. To be honest, Meredith and Penny were right. I do always pick the lamest dares, but it's only because I feel too bad about making my friends do humiliating stuff. But I don't say that because I don't want them to think I'm a baby. Did I mention how much I hate Truth or Dare? Duh, shut up. Why do you think I picked it? Okay, I'm taking your turn because your dare is going to be too boring. Wait, what? Penny, I dare you to flash the window. Keep in mind we're 10, so there's not a whole lot going on up there. I have spoken. Dude, that is so not fair. I am nervous about that one. I have spoken. It might not be so bad, Penny. Probably no one will even see you. Fine. How long do I have to do it for? 1 minute. That's practically nothing. Okay, here goes. I can't believe she's doing it. Oh my god. Dude. Penny, that was only like 2 seconds. Now you have to do another dare. No, didn't you guys hear that? Somebody was out there laughing. Someone saw me. What? No way. Who's out there? Let's get out of here. Come on, you guys. Let's get them. Hey, you guys, where are you going? I want to go. That's Dougal. Pesky Dougal. Get out of here, Dougal. Mom! Outside. I don't see them. I think they're gone. Oh, you guys, let's just go back in. Hey, where are you going? Hey, we should go find him and tell him to come over. What? Why? You're crazy. Oh, if they come over, we could use a dare as an excuse to make out with them. No! Do people our age actually kiss each other? certainly hope not. Someone else's spit in your mouth? So gross. Am I weird for thinking that's gross? Ugh. You guys are no fun. How old are you supposed to be when you make out with someone? I don't know. We finally convinced Meredith that finding Stevie and Donald and Toby Jordan and making out with them would be a terrible idea, and we all went back inside. Can you just imagine what making out is like? Gross! Relieved I'm not the only one. It was pretty hard because Meredith is totally boy crazy. Like, right now Meredith is just totally in love with this boy Jeremiah who's in Mrs. Masterson's class. Oh, brother. Me, Meredith, Kat, and Penny all have Mrs. Graff for reading, and so does Jeremiah, so we have to be subjected to not just her talking about him to us all the time, but also to her staring at him stupidly for an hour every day. Personally, I don't see what's so great about him because he's a smart aleck who thinks he's a lot funnier than he really is, and he isn't even that cute. His face is like a box, and he has ape hair. Cute. But I don't know, Meredith is totally smitten with him and wants him to be her boyfriend. Oh, he's so dumb, it's painful. Mm-hmm. Did you hear that? She farted. Miss Angeline farted. I did not. It was my chair. I hate kids like that. They're the worst. So after we went inside and changed into our PJs, we helped her work on some more of her love poems dedicated to him because Meredith wanted to, and it was her house. So what are you gonna do? Ooh, put I like your hair so long and brown. What rhymes with brown? Clown? Then once we were sure Pesty Dougal was in bed, we went back out to the TV room to watch River's Edge, which is an R-rated movie. Keanu Reeves is so cute. Not as cute as Alex Winter. Jinx! But then, about halfway through the movie, Penny noticed that Hilly had fallen asleep. That's when I learned why you never want to be the first to sleep at a slumber party. We should do something to her. Where's her bag? Let's put her under the freezer. Oh, you guys, I don't know. Shh, you want to wake her up? Kinda. This is gonna be so great. It's not great. You guys, I don't think we should. Jenny, don't be such a butt. Yeah, don't be a butt. It's just a joke. Well, I don't think she'll think it's very funny. Laying them in there. Okay, what next? Ooh, I know. Be right back. Can you lighten up already? Jeez. Mare, she's gonna freak out. I know, that's the whole point. Yeah, but like in a bad way, though. Got it. Let's go. Please wake up. Please wake up. Please wake up. I don't want to do this. Dude, quit laughing. Ooh. Crap, she's waking up. What's going on? Oh, no. Hilly, Penny wrote on your forehead with lipstick, and Meredith put your underwear in the freezer, and I swear I tried to stop them. Jenny! Oh, she's freaking out in a bad way. God, you're such a tattletale. Dude! Where are you going? To get her underwear, where do you think? Feeling a little remorseful. Jenny, I'm sure she'll be fine. She's probably just in Mare's room sulking. Yeah, she'll probably get over it in like 2 seconds. I bet she just wants attention. Hey, Hilly, can I come in? Hilly? What do you want? I brought you your underwear. Why are they all wet? Because if they were dry, they wouldn't freeze? Oh. Gimme. Hold still. I got most of it off. Why are they being so mean to me? Are they mad at me? What did I do? Dude, they're not mad at you. They just thought they were being funny. Well, it's not funny. I know. Do they hate me? I thought we were friends. They don't hate you. You just happen to be the one who fell asleep first. Are you sure? I'm super sure. They're probably out there laughing at me. I'm pretty sure they're not. Really? Yeah, really. You want to go back out there? Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Well, let's go. Back in the TV room. Hilly! They're excited to see her. Hilly, we are so sorry. Yeah, it was stupid. We didn't know you'd get so upset. It was dumb. We'll never do it again. Yeah, we love you. We don't want you to cry. Do you forgive us? Yeah. Come on, we got another movie to watch. Flowers in the Attic. By then it was pretty late and it was getting hard to stay awake. Christopher is so cute. If he was my brother, I would probably want to make out with him too. Gross. Meredith. What? He's cute. I really wanted to stay awake until the end when the mom falls through the thing and hangs herself with her veil because that's the best part of the whole movie. We all know that. But my eyes are closing. Those were flipped. Those two were...
I flip.
Yeah, opposite. Huh? Oh. The VCR, the tape has ended and it's static on the screen. And the end. Thank you.
I'd like to pass some of your comics around too.
Okay.
While we what happened to the
Yeah,
issue?
it's flipped.
Was the issue
Oh,
bound with them?
that one is
It's okay if
in
you
my
lost it.
car, but I have a bunch of them
Just
here.
passing these around. There you go. It's in the what?
I have a bunch of 5 through 10 in here. The one that belongs to you is in the car.
Oh, okay. Well, there's enough to go around. I just love that story so much, and I think there's so much in it. Like it's got it's a story about being singled out, you know,
Yeah.
and but it's also, and it's got this morality that I think a lot of artists have. I think at least a lot of artists I like they were always often that kid where they were like, no, you guys, this is
You don't want to be the uncool one,
right.
but you feel so bad, and that
Yeah.
was me most of the time back then. And that story was actually a few different slumber parties, things that happened at a few different slumber parties that I sort of distilled into one night. you
Oh,
know?
really?
Yeah.
Well, that was
But
actually
they all of those incidents really happened, and those were our favorite movies to watch during slumber parties. And I reference Bill and Ted with Alex Winter is Cuter, and that was our other favorite, and The Lost Boys, but I didn't squeeze that one.
Well, that's a great point, because the other thing I was going to mention is just how well structured this is.
Thank you.
Yeah, and especially the point where there's a flashback to how the one girl treats the boy she's got a crush on, and you go into school, and then when you come right out, you go straight into, I forget exactly already. The transition between the two parts is so great. What?
I forget too
Yeah.
what happens next.
And I didn't realize that we've actually cobbled this together from a series of other nights, and so that's a great. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of questions we could ask, and I want to get you talking, and I want to get you showing some things, but maybe one question to start is, how do you, maybe two questions. Why do you choose to tell some of these childhood stories, and how do you go about it when you say, okay, these are the stories I want to tell?
That's a great question. So when I first started doing comics, I'm gonna back it way up. So when I first started doing comics, I was living out in California. As Tom was saying, I'm from Palmetto, down south of here, but I was living in California about 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago, which is crazy. But I was going through really just like a terrible time in my life. I was in an awful relationship that was depressing and emotionally abusive and just really bad. And I've struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life as well. so, having this background in doing zines, self-publishing, very personal stuff in high school and things, I, of course, in a dark time, turned to that again. And I thought, well, I want to start doing a comic series about everything that's happening to me now so that I can maybe process through it, chew it up a little bit better, and feel like I'm not so alone, too. I'm communicating with people that I don't even know who I'm communicating with, so that's where it started. I was going to do primarily, contemporaneous stuff. And I thought, as with everything in my life, I got this little thought, this nugget of a thought, and then it started getting bigger, and then it started getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, how do I even, how do I rope this in? I thought, well, I'll do a series of graphic novels, and there'll be these different chunks in my life, and it just started getting sort of hard for me to even put a finger on where to start, and I ended up sort of starting with a weekend that was happening at that time, like the weekend prior. I had a journal that I was keeping, and I started writing a story about my weekend, because I thought, well, I got to start somewhere, and it wasn't until I worked through the first few issues, that's Meaningless, that one, those are the first 4 issues. It wasn't until I got through with that one that I really thought, it's helpful to me to work through some of these like dark thoughts and stuff, but I feel like it would be more helpful to me to just draw something happier, because as an artist, you sort of, it's the tendency for a lot of us to sort of sink and wallow, and there's this mistaken ideal that, you're supposed to suffer for your art and sort of hold up this suffering. And someone said to me once years ago, when I was in my early 20s, Jen, it is not noble to suffer. It was the best advice that I ever got in my life, because it's true.
It's the simple ones that matter.
Yeah. So after this 4 issues arc of this, stressful, weird party weekend in Oakland, I turned to doing this little series of stories about being in 5th grade. And I hit on 5th grade because I thought that's such a sweet spot. You're a kid still, you're still kind of putting your life together, but, I had a lot of independence at that time. My girlfriends and I were just riding around on our bikes all over the place, going here and there, and the parental, there wasn't a lot of adults around, it seemed, we just were kind of all over the place back then. And you're going through so much at once, you're churning with new emotions and new feelings, and you're working through your friendships in a different way than you did when you were a little kid, and you're getting ready to go into middle school. There's so much to cull from, and I realized that when I started doing these childhood stories, that my desire to do these comics, it had sort of shifted a little bit, because I realized that this was a world that only existed in my mind now. Not just the things that we did or the time period, but, meanwhile, I'm still in California for part of that time, and moving down, or visiting down there during Christmas, and seeing my hometown changing every year. My parents weren't really noticing it, but every year I'm like, what is this place? Things are being torn down, and new buildings are being built, and more trees are gone, and it was just shocking to me to see how much it was changing. And I thought, my sweet little town that I remember from back then, it doesn't really exist anymore. It's in my mind, it's in photographs, and I thought, I want to capture that and make a little world, that I can revisit, and save it in a way, So that was a big push for me to do more of those childhood comics. forget the other question that you asked me.
So, I guess, how do you choose which stories to tell?
Oh, yes. That's funny because I've thought about that a lot. Like those first 4 issues where I did just that weekend, I kind of picked that at random because I had sort of spun my wheels for like 5 years just trying to get one issue out, trying to figure out where do I start this story. If I want to tell the story of my whole life, where the hell do I start? You don't just start at your birth. That's boring, you know? So where do you pick up? And I kept, doing part of an issue and thinking, this is really great. And then one day I would think, no, it's terrible. And I would just, I got to start over again. And until I finally just picked a time at random and just went with it. Because I thought, I can always go back in time later. Next issue I can write about whatever I want. Because, I'm driving this bus. So, so once I got to the childhood stories, figuring out what I wanted to write about at first was a little daunting because, who remembers everything about when you're 10, for crying out loud? I certainly didn't keep a diary then. Well, I did, but it was like, I hate, so-and-so. They're annoying or whatever. It wasn't narrative at all. But I just started really thinking about that time. I thought about the music I liked. I thought about the places that I went. I thought about those girlfriends of mine and what they were like, what kind of words we used. My friend Missy, who's Meredith, she made up the word dutiful, and we would say, that's really dutiful all the time. Just dumb stuff like that. I would just think about all of those things to put myself in this mindset of this time. And the more I sort of put myself in the mindset, and meanwhile I'm writing down in my notebooks. I use these are my sketchbooks for making comics. I put 2 comic books together to make a super comic book, and I just write and sketch, and I write a lot. I don't always storyboard, but I would just open up my notebook and just write lists, just thoughts that I would have, snippets, walking to Circle K listening to Debbie Gibson, anything that would come to my mind, I would write it down, and just sort of live in that until I created in my head this, this time machine. It was like I could go back there. And the more I did that, the more I just wrote down random thoughts and memories, the more the stories sort of almost started making themselves, because I would think about, obviously I don't remember exactly what we talked about at these slumber parties. I don't remember what the dialogue was, but all of those things that happened, they all happened. So, you can use a certain amount of storytelling, little storytelling tricks to kind of stitch things together. But yeah, the more I sort of sat with it, the more it just sort of told itself, and I thought about the things that meant more to me than other things, like that slumber party, that really stuck with me, that my friend Paisha, Hilly, the girl who has the thing written on her forehead, and I don't remember what they actually wrote, I don't know if it was a nerd, but she was devastated by that. And we had never, that was like our first little foray into something like that. It's probably something we saw in a stupid movie, or something. And because we weren't mean to each other. We were nice to each other, our friends, and they really did not expect that to go over so badly. They just thought it was going to be funny and that Paisha would laugh, and she was devastated. And I remembered her sitting in that room with me and crying, and in real life, and saying, you're my only true friend. And I'm like, no, that's not true. They're your friends too, but they just didn't, we don't all get to the same place at the same time, so they definitely got to that place after she came out and was so sad. They realized definitely what they'd done, and I thought that was an important story to tell, because that meant something to me. I remembered that lesson, that You know, you just don't be cruel to your friends. You know, they might be a little more fragile than you realize. You know, and we never played a prank like that again at any of those parties. None of us ever try to do anything like that again.
It's amazing when you're a kid and you test those boundaries.
Yeah.
It's like
You don't know until
at all until a feeling hits and you're like, wow, that feels crappy.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. Yeah, I think that meant something to the other girls too.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear they didn't become bad people.
Oh no, no. I was so lucky. I had the best little friends at that time that I could have gotten. You know.
Does anyone have any other questions? I could keep reading, but I'd love
I have
to hear
a
some
question.
questions. Thanks.
You kind of mentioned it briefly when you were saying that you were having kind of a hard time. You were starting and stopping until you realized that you were driving the bus. Are there any other things that you felt got in the way of your creativity during
Mostly
different
just
times?
my own brain. You know, really. I mean, you know, you talk yourself out of a lot of things, and you know, is anybody gonna give a shit about this? Will anyone care? Why would anyone want to read my stupid stuff about my life? Well, what makes you so special? You know, I've definitely thought that. It's just my own mental blocks.
So you try very hard to just do it for you in the moment and not worry about who's going to want it or why or
You got to.
whatever.
Yeah, because if you're sitting there alone in your studio or wherever and you're drawing and you start thinking about all the eyes that might be on you looking at it, you panic. So you have to think, you know, I just want to make something that is the best thing that I can do, and I want to tell the story right.
Tom said this, I think he remembers saying it. He said, nobody's watching and nobody cares.
Yes.
He said it's very freeing.
That's true. And you know, my ex-husband, when he was in art school, college, he had a professor that told him, it's not so precious.
Yeah.
And I've never forgotten that, too. We both took that to
a good
heart
one.
when he said that. It's not so precious.
There's something very freeing about that, though.
Very freeing. Yeah, do your best for yourself. And, you know, and as far as, like, writing the story, I try to write, I'm telling my own stories, but I'm writing stories about all of you guys too. You know, I mean, we all like to read stories about ourselves. It's just the human condition. And if you write stories, if you pick, this kind of touches on what you were asking too, how do you choose what stories to tell? If you're choosing stories that could speak to anyone, you know, you're writing very human stories. Even if it's happening to a rabbit, a human is going to want to read it.
Right.
You know, somebody's gone through something like that, or if they haven't gone through it, they know someone else maybe who has, and now they see a first-hand account of it, and it means something to them, and maybe that makes you able to understand that a little bit better, you know.
Yeah. Your writing is very relatable.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
good.
you. Appreciate that.
I also wanted to say the whole slumber party thing is highly relatable, and I think I was living through that at the same time as you, only in
It's
New
a
Hampshire.
minefield,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And for me, actually, it didn't turn out well. Like,
really? How was
but the
your
group-
experience?
I mean, I was 12, and the group that I was in got into this habit of, like, kind of, you know, giving one kid a hard time, like, at every sleepover. And so I was like, kick this person out, kick this person out, kick this person
That's
out.
no good.
And it actually ended up really kind of derailing me and changing the course of my life. Like, I think about it a lot. And I actually also moved home recently, and I had to confront some of these things because I kept seeing the woman who had been my friend.
Wow.
And every time I would see her, she would like apologize and be like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
so sorry, and I'm terrible, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, you know what? Actually, like, I wouldn't be the person I am
Yeah.
if you hadn't done that. Like, it
Yeah.
was real shitty at the time, but
Yeah.
I'm happier now.
Good.
But I wanted to ask about, like, you're still friends with these people?
Yes.
Do they know that you're making comics? Like, what
Well,
have they?
I'm
what's their
friends
response?
on Facebook with two of them. One of them sort of dropped off the face of the earth around high school, and nobody ever heard. I've never been able to find her. I don't know if she's still alive even. I have no idea. But Paisha Hilly, the girl who gets written on, she's still my best friend from 4th grade. And she lives not far from me, and and we're both very busy with conflicting schedules, but when we can, we still watch movies in our PJs and things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What does she think of your
She
comics?
loves it. She's so excited. She's famous. So we went to Gainesville Zine Fest together once. I had a real shitty car back then, and I couldn't make it up here. And I asked her, "Hey, do you want to drive up with me? We'll get a hotel room. We'll just kind of make it a little girls' weekend." She was so excited. So we go, and no, she's not really artistic at all. She's not into the whole zine thing, but she's my bud. So we go up, and she's, as we're driving up, she's like, "Do you think anybody's gonna want my autograph?" I'm like, "Probably." Definitely, most definitely. She was just so stoked, and every time someone would come to the table, you know, I usually talk to everybody about my work, but she's like getting in my way, like, "Well, as you can see, this is me. The story is about me, and this is my bedroom." She was also, yeah, this is me as a rabbit. She was thrilled in one of the issues where we're laying around on her bed, and I drew her Garfield phone, and I drew her she had a little plastic garbage can, and she had a little Garfield that was holding a heart, and it said something like, "You animal," or something, and all these things I remembered being in her bedroom, and she was just like, "Oh, you drew my little plastic garbage can," you know, just so excited that I remembered these stupid little details, you know, and her little radio that we would, you know, bop down to the Circle K listening to, you know, Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and singing. You know, she was overjoyed that I put all that stuff in. Yeah, which, you know, could go the other way, but my parents had never read my comics.
Oh.
I just sort of glossed it over a little bit. Like, yeah, it's this fun stuff. It doesn't matter. You know, partly because I don't want them to see some of this stuff, like the California stories. I don't want them to read those because they would be worried about me. They don't need to read that stuff. And also, I portray them in these, and it's like, it's my mom and dad. You know, it's different if it's my pals, but it's like, it's my mom and dad, so it makes me a little nervous. My dad has read the little mini comic I did about my cat, because he loves cats, and he loves my cat, so he's read that one, and that's it. But yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes to think about. That's another thing that I have to override when I'm working on them. I have to stop thinking about this real, actual person who's going to read the story. You know, it's a little, makes me a little nervous, but I do it. And there's no villains in my comics. I try to, you know, even somebody I'm mad at or something, if I'm writing a story that's a little uncomfortable, you know, there's no real villains in real life either. Everybody has a gray area, so, you know, even people I'm not stoked about, I kind of, you know, I portray them as a real person, you know, not all bad.
How do you think your comics, with the ones that we've just been introduced to, how do you think they would be different if you would have drawn them in a human form versus as rabbits?
I probably would still be working on them. That is a great question. Because I started doing anthropomorphic rabbits purely out of laziness. Pure laziness. Yeah, I mean, I just thought, it is going to take me frickin' forever to... I'll overthink it, I'll want to do too much detail, and you're doing the same characters over and over again. It's too much. I thought, you just got to do something. Just get it out there, and I don't even know where that rabbit came from, but I started drawing that little rabbit on walls when I lived in Cincinnati. I would draw it on stoops, like drinking. And I don't know why. I don't know where it came. Yeah, it would be a little rabbit, like with a 40 on a stoop, like sitting on the step, so that you'd only notice it if you were also sitting on the stoop,
Drinking a 40.
drinking on the stoop.
Do you have any photos of that? I've never seen.
I don't.
Oh my God.
I used to, but I don't anymore. But yeah, as I was saying during the reading, if you make an anthropomorphic rabbit, you can do it as cartoonish if you want to. You can do hair or no hair. you know, I sometimes do hair. I sometimes just do fancy ears, depending on the character. You can do clothes or no clothes. I tend to do no clothes unless the story kind of calls for it, you know. It just makes it so much easier. It's a shortcut.
It doesn't look easy, and it looks actually like your character Meredith. I'm like, I know that girl. I didn't say I know that rabbit.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that girl.
That's great.
No.
Yeah.
So
Thank
but
you.
it's an interesting thing because we really kind of forget that we're looking at rabbits.
Right.
Because we're not. We're looking at something completely different than both of those things, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. It
Cool.
it would have been a lot more to do all those little details. A lot more. So yeah, it was just a shortcut.
This is more an observation than a question. I feel like it helps carry the narrative where like it has weight. Like there's somehow through being an animal, like it draws you in this way. You're like there where you're looking for like the relatability in the events or in their response or something rather than like in their face. Or, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I see that. It's almost like a safe. It's like a. It's not a real person, but it's enough like a person that you just sort of feel safe with it. It's like a little stuffed animal or something that you can.
And it's a very real scenario.
Be with,
It's,
yeah,
definitely.
Cool. Any other questions? Can we ask some questions about process then? I mean, are we allowed to see inside these books, or will you tell us about this board or anything? Or, I'm hearing yeah over here.
So this.
I'm gonna shut that computer down and get it out of your face.
Sure. This ended up being for a story that I haven't even written, but it's like years old. It's just always hanging in my studio, reminding me that I haven't finished it. But I was planning to do this series of stories about 9th grade, and there was, if I thought a lot of shit happened in 5th grade, Lord Jesus, lots of stuff happened in 9th grade. So I felt really overwhelmed by the amount of information that my brain was kind of dumping on me, making notes. So I came upon doing this. It's something that I used to do. I did NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, a few years in a row. And I started doing that back then for just writing narratives. So I thought, why couldn't I do that for a comic? So I would make all these notes, all these lists, just kind of free, writing about whatever I could think of that happened at that time, and then I would write them on cut up pieces of Post-it notes. They're actually not color coded. I just like color. But each of these little squares are a different month. So some of this stuff I knew exactly what month this happened. Like for some reason, I don't even remember. Seriously, this is like 5 years old, this board. And I don't even remember where I was going with a lot of the stuff at this point, but like for example, I have here May 94, Experimental Jet Set. It's when that Sonic Youth album came out. For whatever reason, I was going to work that into the story. Well, I knew for a fact it came out in May 94, so that definitely can get stuck on here. But everything else, a lot of it, I don't remember exactly when it happened, but it's on a Post-it, so I can move and shift around and just sort of sit with it and think about how that flows. Does this make sense for this to happen before this? Would it make more impact if I moved it, to a later time? And it's just very helpful. I also did that in one of my notebooks for the last issue that I was working on right here. I knew what I wanted to go over in that issue and the next couple, but I really wasn't sure what should go first, what should go in this issue, and what needed to wait, and I didn't want to miss anything, so I made a little mini one in here and then taped it down once I got certain that I knew what was going to go in which which issue, but it makes it a lot easier than scratching out and rewriting. You know, you can just move. I'm a very visual person, so it helps to kind of shift like that. But,
What else is in these sketchbooks? Do you
Well-
draw thumbnails, and can we
Yep.
maybe even come take a look? Or
yes.
Yeah.
If you guys want to pass around,
Should we pass them around or come up?
whatever is easiest.
You come around. Why don't we come around and take a look? Oh wow! God, this makes me
Yeah.
so happy. Oh my gosh.
So I'll write a lot of stuff, but then I'll thumbnail out stuff too. And sometimes it's a mix of both. I'll start to write a story, and then I'll get, I'll get an image in my head of how this should be, so I'll make little notes about it.
About how you want it
Pass
to flow or
around.
something.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to take a snapshot of something like a page like that?
Yeah.
You sure?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, this was my story in Sweaty Palms.
Is that slumber party stuff?
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, let me zoom in for that. Okay. There it is.
Gross.
It's comforting to know slumber parties didn't change much over the decades.
Probably not. Let's pass it around.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tradition continues.
Yes.
More
Well,
about
that's
process,
really-
sorry. Just in terms of process, what materials are you using? Like, how do you get from the idea to the zine that's in Tom's hand?
When I'm working in my notebook, I always use these RSVP pens, black ones only. I don't know why, but I will not use any other pen to sketch out, to thumbnail. These are it for me. Doing the comics, I was using microns, but I love the smoothness of the microns, but they run out really fast, and when they run out, it's so irritating having to go back over a line and just throw away these pens. So I started going into pen and ink after that, which is great, but messy and very frustrating when all of a sudden a blop just appears out of nowhere and you have to sort of tissue it off very carefully while, swearing through your teeth and applying lots of white paint. But it's more satisfying to do pen and ink, in my opinion, dip pen. You have all your little tools and your little nibs and things.
And you're probably using microns for a long enough time that you have the control. Like, I think there is some transfer there, whereas
Yeah.
I think it's hard to jump straight into.
It took there was a learning curve there, it was, I had to do a lot of sort of scritching around, and also finding the right nibs.
What are your nibs? What's your
I wish I brought them. I didn't. I should have. I use the school nibs for most of them. Tachikawa, I think, is the one that I use the most.
Is that the same as the quote, the G pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I should have brought them. I have a nice little thing just filled with nibs. And then mapping for like fine detail for like facial expressions, the little mapping nibs. But I go to can't think of it. It's been a long time since I bought nibs.
I don't know. In
I
person
can't
or
think of the
online?
website.
Is it
It's
jet pens? Do you use jet pens? Yeah.
jet pens. Thank you.
Because that's where I know that you can get Tachikawa
Yep.
holders there. That's
Yeah. I really like Tachikawa, and I have some deleter that I like too.
I've never used those.
And
And they're nice. Their prices are good, and
Yes.
and they have a low minimum
quick.
for free shipping.
yeah,
So
they
yeah.
got a lot of cool stuff, and they have lots of fun novelty erasers.
Oh my god.
Never
Yeah.
be
And
used
they're
to
and they're
erase.
washi tape. Don't even
Yes,
look.
yeah,
It's
I
a
love
gateway
it.
drug.
It is.
What is washi tape?
Washi
Washi
tape,
tape.
Tom. Get on the bus.
Come on.
The washi tape bus.
But what's
That's
special?
the binding of Meaningless
Oh.
is washi tape.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's too fun.
I do need to get on the bus.
Obviously.
And then from like your finished pages, are you scanning them in and photoshopping them and putting them in InDesign? Or you're old school on a photocopier?
Old school.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm shrinking them down a little bit on a photocopier and making like a master copy that I can then take to the photocopy place later and just lay. You know, I have front cover, back cover, inside front cover, inside back, and each one. Basically like an unbound copy of the comic book, and then I just take it and photocopy, stand around for a few hours waiting.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with that. I think just because I have such a long, background in zines, it's just kind of more where it's my realm.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And distribution, you describe going to Zine Fairs. Is that like your main thing, or are you like...
Yeah, pretty much. I have a website too. I haven't updated it in a hot minute, but yeah, mostly just going to zine fests and stuff. And it's so much fun to do that because then you can actually speak to people and people. It's great. It's great talking to people at these things because they get inspired and then they also inspire me. And a lot of times I talk to a lot of like teens at these, and it's really fun talking to teens, especially really shy teen girls. It's like I'll see a shy teen girl and I'll think, that's my demographic right there. Come to me. I'm picking you out, and I love talking to them because frequently I get this attitude of like, oh well, I could never do that, Oh my gosh, you're wrong. You can always do that. You can always do it, I had some encouragement when I was younger, but, I guess, yeah, I had some, when I was a teenager, there was a girl named Jenna Delory who went to New College, and I thought she was so cool. She was a few years older than me, but at the time it felt like she was so much older than me, maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, but she was so, cool, and she had a zine, and I also had a zine, but I was like, oh, my zine is so shitty and dumb, and hers was so cool, and she was so interesting, and so intelligent, and so self-possessed, and I remembered, and she was like a friend of some of my friends, she was like in my extended group, so she and I were never friends, but we were in the same place at the same time a few times, and she was very encouraging, and didn't even have to really say much. She would just be like, "Oh yeah, it's really cool. Do you mind if I review one in my next zine?" And she did. She reviewed one of my zines and one of her zines, and I almost died because she had very favorable things to say, and she didn't really need to say much. Just the feeling of acceptance from her and that validation when you're younger or when you're just starting out doing something new that you aren't confident with. It's almost like you sometimes need permission to do it, either from yourself or from someone else. It's silly, but it means a lot when someone is encouraging like that, so I try to also do that. Yeah.
Cool. Any more questions? I really encourage you to come take a look at some of it. How many issues do you have?
I have 5 through 10.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. A lot.
What's
Oh, cool. Great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
what's it?
So 5, 6, 7.
Is it alright that I'm just sort of flopping around with these?
Yeah, they were stacks.
Oh, I don't think
in
I
order.
have 7. 6.
Yeah, 5, 6, and 7 are all the 5th grade, and then 8 and 10 are the first part of that trip I took with my dad, and 9 is the summer between 5th and 6th grade.
Wait, sorry. The one about which one's the
They
story?
were in order, Tom.
I
that you
think I
made
lifted
up.
them.
You
Should I
flipped
flip?
them.
But they're.
You flipped them upside down.
Oh crap!
That's okay.
All right.
Well, I do
Oh, wait,
5 and 5 because if you
Oh.
don't, they'll all be like this.
All right, so I got that. But wait, the one about the trip with your dad is which one?
Yeah, it's
8 and 10.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so what was 9?
9 was
The
summer.
summer
between.
after 5th grade.
Thank you.
So you're alternating. Well, I'm
yeah,
trying.
a little
I was
bit.
really discombobulated by
I
getting
know.
these out of order.
It's okay.
Even these covers crack me up. She's just
Yeah.
saying, "Don't look, I'm writing a secret note." She's got this eraser and it's just right
Oh
there.
my gosh, and I want to tell you guys, I think it was this one. So, well, first of all, the back covers of these 3 5th grade ones, these are photocopies from my actual real sticker book from 5th grade. Yeah. Means a lot to me. And the back of this one, these are, it's hard to see, I didn't really get it photocopied well, but these are all actual notes. So, Paisha Hilly, Paisha and I sat right next to each other in 5th grade, much to the chagrin of our 5th grade teacher. And we made these little, we took salt cans and peeled the wrappers off and made them into little containers for our secret notes. And we put little cat ears and little hands, and we drew little cat faces on the top, and then you pull the little spout down as the mouth, and you feed the cat your tiny notes.
Oh. How did you get him out?
It's really hard. I think we would like pull off the bottom and shake him out, but it was not a very good message delivery system. It was very difficult and time consuming, and also not subtle in the least to say, I have a note for you, and then reach over and pluck the mailbox off of the person's desk and feed the cat the tiny note. I'm sure our 5th grade teacher was like, oh God, those two. But we thought we were being very stealthy and creative. But I found one of those canisters and I emptied out all the notes, and it was such a scream to see all these, because it was Paisha basically going, write me back, P.S., write back soon, P.P.S., I mean it right now, write me back soon, or I'm bored, what are you doing? Like, I'm doing my schoolwork, what are you doing? You know. And it was just such a funny little stupid slice of life. But I took a bunch of these notes and I put them in this issue, but first I took them into Photoshop, and I can't see right now because it's tiny, but in there somewhere she signs her name, and I changed it to say her name in the comic, and I changed the Mrs. Long to Mrs. whatever it was in the comic, because I changed everybody's names, but everything else is her.
It's the real note.
It's the real deal. And we had these cat paws that she would, that our teacher would give out for prizes, and I mentioned it in the story, and I found one thing where she said, Jenny, I have 90 cat paws, you know, so it was just sort of filling out this world. And we had no homework coupons, and in the story, my friend Adrian, for whatever reason, I didn't do my homework, and that just was not me. I always did my homework, but I didn't do my homework, and I was crying about it. My friend Adrian came up to me, like at recess, and said, I have a no homework coupon. You can use it if you want, and it really touched me, and it's in the story, but I still have that little homework coupon that she gave to me, and so I photocopied it in there, but I had to leave her name as the real name because it was written on her no homework coupon in my teacher's handwriting.
That's cool.
Yes.
The last thing I'll say is I just love looking through your mini comics and just looking at the title lettering and the big basically the big lettering that's, you know, poodle problem. Myrtle is the grossest dog I've ever seen. I'm only reading the big things. The house across the street, and then he murdered her. Whoa, that's creepy.
Yeah, some of these they're deceptively. Some of them have some dark turns. Oh, and this was my Trapper Keeper.
Oh yeah.
My
I
Melon
remember that
Power
one.
sticker on it.
I think it's amazing you kept all this
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, yeah. I have everything. My house is a weird museum of oddities.
That needs to be a title for another one.
The weird museum about my house is a weird museum.
Oh.
And this was my 5th grade picture. This was a version of my 5th grade picture.
I was just gonna say, like, I think it's always just so interesting to like read things that are in pockets of time time because like when you're like, I mean, I am a baby, but like when you like I'm only 18, but like whenever you like I look back, you're like when you read things from other people's perspectives of like when you're really young, like 10 to 13, and like you start like you're just doing things. It's weird because like that is your whole world.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're not, like
Yeah.
you're not aware of like school is like a thing that's important. Like at that time, it's just like you're just going.
Right.
Because, like
Because it's
you
that's what you
go-
do. Yeah.
yeah, like the big things are like the big things like school or like really important like things with family. That's just like something that you do. Like
Yeah.
that's what you perceive it at that age. And
Yeah.
then, like, the world you make of like the weird shit that you do.
Right.
Like outside
Yeah.
of that, like is like the most important thing. And it's like
Oh,
really
yeah.
weird. Like when you get older, looking back on it, like you know, like if I had the brain I do back then, like I would be doing things a very different way.
Yes. I remember summer break, just at the beginning of summer break, thinking, what am I going to do? What are my plans? I'm going to conquer the world this summer. I have so
Right.
much I want to accomplish, you know, and I would think, well, first I'm going to build a fort and I'm going to take the canoe out, and I would have all these crazy, you know, thoughts and ideas about how to spend all this time, and it felt like this crazy amount of time, you know, and then by the end, and it's actually there's a story kind of about that in the issue that has not come out yet, but I'll tell you. I started my most recent issue of my comic I started in 2017, so I have taken a break, but this year I'm going to finish that damn comic. I'm going to get back in there. But my house was wrecked by a hurricane, and it threw me off, and I haven't been able to get back into the mode since. But I'm getting there. I'm getting back in. Never really goes away. Yeah, because I was like, you know, every 2 months I'm going to do another. Well, you got to step away sometimes and just take a breather and kind of regroup. But the first story in that issue is kind of about that, where I realized, oh God, there's like 2 weeks left before 6th grade starts, and then what am I going to do? I'm an adult now. You know? I've got no more time for this kid stuff. I better fill it in all now, you know, before it's over. But yeah, it is funny how that's like a little microcosm, you know. But I mean, I guess life is still kind of like that, really, if you think about it.
Probably.
Yeah.
The world's a big place, right? We
Yeah.
just have our little
I have my little
small section of it. That
yeah.
in our patterns and our habits.
Yeah, my little village of the arts
Yeah.
is my sort of little weird little world, and you know, my cat and I have our little strange tree house that we live in, and you know, I don't know, that's funny.
Let's give Jen a round and come up and look at. I really encourage you to come look at these. I just hope you get as much delight as I do. Thanks, Jen.
And they are for
Did
sale.
anyone not get
They're
to
for
see
sale.
these?
You know what? I want,
Anyone
even though I
want to
have
see
most
these?
of these, I want to buy another one of them. Make sure I get it.
Number 5.